Hello, it's me, itzanowski. And this year I haven't uploaded anything on this channel yet, so Happy New Year, 1 year closer to death. So let's start this year off with some beef. Well, not really in my opinion, but I'm sure there will be some angry comments because today we are talking about hardcore and more specifically, hardcore show culture, crowd killing, and online discourse, everybody's favorite. Fun times. So, But I want to look at it from multiple angles and nuances because I think it's important. And now, before you comment, hold your little horses for a second just, because I have a couple of disclaimers and background info. So if your first impulse was to comment, well, if you don't like it, just go somewhere else and leave the scene alone, I am happy to inform you that, this is more or less what I did. But I'll also talk about that way of thinking later in the video. I used to go to hardcore shows and I worked with a group dedicated to hardcore and we organized some shows together. But I am not someone who loves hardcore, more than anything else in this world. Hardcore is definitely a genre and a style of music that I like, as it is closely related to other genres that I also like. In one of my bands, we also have a lot of hardcore influences and have been invited to play at local hardcore shows too. I do know people, though, who live and breathe hardcore, but, that is not me. So that was just, just to give you some context about my relationship with hardcore. Yeah, I've been thinking about making this video for a while, or, a video about this topic in general. But what prompted me to do it now was a post on Instagram. And I am already very late because I hope this video will still go up in January. And this was back in December, but, I was very busy. I bought a house and started renovating it. And this will take the whole year. By the way, I have another chaotic channel where I document that. So if you're interested, go check it out. Anyway, like I said, in December, a user from Manchester made a post on Instagram with multiple slides about crowd killing and why he thinks it sucks and it shouldn't be part of the hardcore scene. If you're not aware what crowd killing is, let me explain that quickly. It's when people punch and kick the crowd on purpose. So in hardcore, there's something called violent dancing. And, I just show some clips here. Where people right in front of the stage do their little spin kicks or, flail their arms around. And, do movements that could potentially hurt someone, but are not, directly intended to do so. So I would describe it as a style with movements more focused on the individual and, it's not done by a group. For example, a mosh pit or push pit doesn't really work if others don't participate. And similarly, how should a wall of death work if you are the only one participating? But that's not to say that there is, no group interaction at hardcore shows. There definitely is. For example, rushing to grab the singer's mic and scream your favorite lyrics into that mic, and the faces of 5 other guys, doing the same. And then it all resulting in a kind of big group hug. Or, jumping on someone as part of your move. there are definitely interactive elements, and like I said, it's usually very centered in front of the stage, and people stand back to open that space up and get out of the way. Now, when someone is overcome by the urge to crowd kill, they might do this in that space at the front, or they might decide to just go ham and just punch and kick people standing at the back, just everywhere. And we're talking punching, not pushing. There are also other dance moves like or styles, let's say, like two-stepping, side to side and stuff like that in hardcore, but they are usually not controversial. So yeah, this guy made a post which garnered a lot of attention, and I saw someone that I know who shared it and said something like, I don't agree with everything, but this is a good point or something. And to be honest, I didn't click on the post itself because I thought, another day, another discussion about crowd killing in the hardcore scene. But then I saw it pop up on r/hardcore on Reddit, and I read through some of the very angry comments and decided to finally check out the post with more angry comments. And I thought, okay, I think it's time for this video. Unfortunately, I didn't screenshot or save it in any way, and when I revisited the post a couple of days later, he had already deleted it. There was a story highlight on his profile in which he stated the reasons for deleting the post, and the main reason was an onslaught of hate comments and threats, and also death threats, and people in his opinion misconstruing what he said or wanted to say. I then reached out to him via Instagram stating that I wanted to make a video about the topic and, ask him to share the post slides with me, because it is easier to make a video about something you can read again and again. He was kind enough to share them with me, and we had a little chat about the backlash as well. But I do not know the guy or didn't know him before that. So what did this guy say? I don't want to show all of the 12 slides in detail, so let me just summarize what he said and how I read it. Crowd killing sucks because, it excludes some people like women or disabled people. Hurting others on purpose goes against the community thought of hardcore and, toxic masculinity and, the constant threat of violence foster a shitty environment, etc., etc. People did not like that. And, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and I want to talk about and give my thoughts on some common arguments. But some of the comments were just mean and unnecessary, especially on Reddit. There I saw a lot of comments directed at this guy's appearance and, making fun of him, just because of it. Because they did not like his opinion. And, the guy just looks like a regular dude, by the way. So it's just very dumb to make fun of how someone looks because you just don't like what they said. Oh, and, by the way, if you want to make fun of me because I bust my hair off again, remember, comments result in more views. And I think I look hella cute. So, yeah. By the way, on the Chaotic channel, there is also a video of me shaving off my hair, and it is my most watched video now on YouTube, and it's very low effort. Yeah. Anyway, so you might be wondering what I think about the post. I largely agree with it, but I am not surprised at all that people were angry. This debate has been going on for a while. And it's a heated one. And I think people also took issue with some of his wording. So it's the internet, right? But if you come across as someone who wants to tell other people what to do, they will generally ask themselves and also you why they should listen to you. Like, who's this person who thinks they're morally superior and want me to do or don't do something? Fuck off. This is also where we get into this whole you're just a poser, I am more hardcore than you. Or I think someone also said to this guy, like, I haven't seen you at a local show. I've been part of the scene for 30 years. Like, some of that, It's really the same in every scene, isn't it? I mean, yeah. Watch my other videos, you know what I mean. Yeah, it's more about how arguments are communicated sometimes, than a specific scene or music, when it comes to stuff like this. So I will not sit here and tell you what to do, because you are not going to do what I say anyway. But thank you for listening to what I have to say so far. Let's look at some common arguments, which are not exclusive to the hardcore scene, but, arguments that I read in this context. If you don't like it, this is not for you. I think one of the issues with that statement is that it is very subjective. Everyone could say that to anyone. I mean, who are you to decide who and what belongs in the scene? Also, not very community building. Very lukewarm take here, but I think people should be able to discuss things even if the result is that you agree to disagree. There are topics and things in life where this doesn't apply. Like fascism, for example. But someone advocating for, a more welcoming environment is, I think, not one of those situations. Next argument or thing, old heads saying stuff like, back in my day, it was way worse when this was still true hardcore, or something like that. Things change. People are born later than other people and find music and a scene later. That's just how it is. And not everything has to stay the same in general. Like, demanding that things stay the same and don't change is part of being conservative. And since when is hardcore conservative? Let me know in the comments, or please do not let me know. These were fun arguments, but also some commenters also took issue with him speaking for women and disabled people, even though he's neither of these things, which he said he's aware of in his story, in the story highlight later, but didn't really address in the original post. And, to be honest, I think this is just something people mostly, just piled onto because it was something you could easily criticize him for, especially with some women and disabled folks disagreeing with him in the comments. Now, what he said was that people, and let's face it, it is usually men who try to punch everyone, no matter how far back people stand, don't create a very safe environment for anyone. Having to accept that your nose could be broken at any moment doesn't sound like a safe environment to me. And I want to further discuss this by giving you another example of common arguments I read. If someone crowd kills you, just crowd kill them back. Revolutionary. Why didn't I think of that? Well, I would love to just, dramatically go up to someone, some aggressive guy who's 20 centimeters taller and 40 centimeters wider than me, give him a good punch to the face and, watch him fall to the ground as the crowd applauds me, for showing this mean crowd killer bully who's boss. But I am not very strong. And, call me a coward, but I won't risk an open altercation with an aggressive, stronger man. I could try to crowd kill him back. Sure. But if this guy now sees this as an open brawl, I am fucked. But you're right. That's just a part of the risk when you're doing MMA. Oh, right, we were talking about going to a show. So personally, I don't think this guy meant that, all women and disabled people are weak and have the same opinion as him. And, he needs to come and, save and speak for them. But it is valid to point out that, when it comes to physical violence, this affects people differently. I am not disabled and cannot speak for disabled people. And I also cannot speak for all women. This is very important, everyone. I, as part of a group, women in this case, cannot speak for all women. But just because maybe one woman says, crowdkilling is fine, crowdkilling is cool, she doesn't speak for all women either. If you're asking yourself why people are into violent dancing, I need you to show this video that I find very funny. I understand that for some people, doing this at a show is a chance to express their emotions and, let loose and let it all out. And there's nothing wrong with expressing your emotions. And because there's nothing wrong with it, you should try it more often. Maybe this would help with, not having so much pent-up anger. And I know you probably don't want to hear this, but hardcore also has an issue with toxic masculinity. Like every scene. And misogyny. Like every scene. There are for sure dudes out there who enjoy making women feel unsafe at shows. But, that's a general issue. But the physical violence and, the threat of it also affect men. Like this patriarchal belief that men need to be strong and, of course, don't have an issue with violence at all because they are strong and manly. That's harmful. I know that there are many dudes in the scene making fun of men complaining about this, but that is toxic masculinity. Enforcing the stereotype that physical dominance is an important part of being a man, a real man, and calling you a pussy or something if you don't like it and, don't want to participate in it. In my opinion, there are more important things, but that's just my opinion as a woman. And of course, not everyone who goes really wild at shows has issues with expressing their emotions in other ways. Sometimes, just not thinking about or putting yourself in someone else's shoes might be the issue. Okay, it might work for you to just crowd kill someone back, or just go stand in the front because you are the tallest and strongest person in the room. But for other people, that doesn't work. What works for you might not work for everyone else. If you don't care about other people in general, then that makes you an asshole in general. So, where do we go from here? What is the best way to behave at a hardcore show? Again, very, very subjective, but I'd like to propose some general guidelines, if you will. There is no right way to behave at every hardcore show ever. Also, within the hardcore scene, there are big differences, and if some shows are more violent than others, that is fine to an extent. If it's well known that some bands or their fan bases are particularly aggressive, okay. I don't think everything has to cater to everyone all the time, so I don't know, let's say there's a beatdown show with crowd killers and everyone just goes nuts and that's just how it is every weekend. Okay, unless you see someone who looks surprised about it and, not happy to be there, and just didn't get the memo that this is a boxing ring. Don't fucking punch them if they are standing in the back or, are visibly uncomfortable with what's happening. Because, can we just agree to not punch and kick people standing in the back? If someone wants to participate, they can come to the front. If someone tries to hide in the corner, don't go after them to break their nose. Yes, that is my very woke snowflake take. Don't target and assault people just because you think you can get away with it. because it's part of hardcore and speaking up against it is not cool. Also, someone who organizes shows, if the venue or booker, or someone in charge of that show asks a crowd not to do something, especially if this is a DIY show that, that people put up without pay in their free time, just do what they say. This is just about basic respect. If you are a guest somewhere, do as the host says and, don't be an asshole. There was also a band that we invited to one of our shows that we organized that straight up said, no, we don't want to play one of your shows because we don't like your rules. Because we had rules in place that prohibited crowd killing at all, and very, hard, violent dancing. Because, sometimes you don't really know what the differences are anymore. And they didn't like it. Fair enough. Better to say, hey, that's not for us, than to come and, just to cause a scene. Overall, I think the hardcore scene is too big to have strict universal rules. There can be more aggressive shows. But if there are bands and, shows and venues, bookers that don't like to see crowd killing or, very careless, violent dancing, and if people just want everyone to be able to stand in the front of the stage without the fear of getting hurt, then this should also be possible. Because, the whole topic of unspoken consent, like, oh, you went there, so you must be okay with it, is questionable. Just because you go to a hardcore show, you did not agree to getting hurt. And, by the way, I saw too many memes about old aggressive dudes spin kicking children at all ages shows. I put up some memes. At the end of the day, I think it's all about basic respect. Some do like the aggressive atmosphere, some do not, and they shouldn't have to like it. It doesn't make other people less of a fan of the music. Because, did you notice something? In this whole discussion, music wasn't even really mentioned. And the last hot take, violence is not the heart of hardcore. And before we're done for today, I wanted to include a thought that I had. And I would like to know what you think of this theory. So this is why I'm including it at the end here. Is hardcore getting more violent, or the shows getting more violent because of social media? Because clips showing, violent, crass behavior get a lot of views. And from my local scene here in Germany, I see that many people are quite stylish. There are a lot of photos and videos taken at shows and, later posted online. So I think personally that this might add to this need to have shows also look special and cool, and bands encouraging, the crowd going wild. It just looks better in videos than a bunch of people just standing there nodding their head in silent approval. Like me at a metal show. I don't know, do you think that plays a role? But that was it. How hot were all of these takes really? Tell me in the comments. Time for the bonus cat. And I will bring Checo because he's been screaming the whole fucking time. Yeah. This is Checo, and he likes screaming and crowd killing his sisters. Because sometimes he's an idiot. Bye!